All right, good morning, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Monday, April 28th at 8 a.m. Here we are. Here we are. Thank you for being a part of the show. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Appreciate you guys making the Sliwa show part of your regular routine. I appreciate you guys all being here. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind doing that. Would greatly appreciate it. We got a pretty interesting show today. Not gonna lie, did not think Lakers would be down 3-1, would lose both of those games over the weekend. So obviously that's going to be the bulk of our conversation in today's show. So thank you for hanging out here. Quick quote for everybody. Everybody's like, Slee, screw your quote today. If you know exactly what you want to be, you need to spend as much time as possible with people who are actually that already. If you know exactly what you want to be, you need to spend as much time as possible with people who are actually that already. All right, so whatever you want to be in life, spend it with those who are already doing it. 1 second. I gotta turn something off here real quick. All right, that's what we got for our quote today. If you guys got a quote you guys want to share with everybody, feel free to do so. Quick rundown what we got going on today. To give everyone just a quick heads up what we're going to be doing for the show today. Obviously, Lakers down 3-1. We'll talk about both games. Both games over the weekend. Lakers not even able to come back to LA, to Crypto.com Arena with a series tie. So they're back against the wall, down 3-1. We'll talk about Redick's decision there. You could say in the fourth quarter, but really the entire second half. Decides not to sub. That's the conversation right now. Anthony Edwards said something that I thought was interesting about Lakers not subbing in the second half. Charles Barkley said something. Magic said something. Kendrick Perkins said something. I'm sure you guys have your own opinions. I have my own opinion about the situation and the predicament. What's kind of the fallout from it? All right, what happens next game? Starts looking down that bench. How are certain players going to react in that predicament, that situation? That's really the top storyline coming out of the game yesterday. So we'll spend a lot of time on it. Anthony Edwards. Yeah, that dude's an interesting player. We'll spend a little bit of time on him, getting a chance to see him now 4 games in a row and watching him at the end of games, see what he's been able to do has been pretty fascinating to watch. Is the series over? Is this a wrap? What are the chances Lakers have, you think, with this team coming back? I mean, here's a good thing. They're not getting blown out in these games. I mean, other than game 1, these games have been pretty close. Now, granted, game 3, tied 103, you end up losing by 12. So that's a little interesting how that all went down. I got a question for everybody as we go through the show. One of my topics here is refs admitting errors. I got my thoughts on when the crew chief says, we blew that one. Is there a point of that? I don't know if that does any good for anybody. I think it makes everybody angrier. Spend a little bit of time on that. We will take a look at some of the different other Western Conference series that are going on. So Clippers and the Denver Nuggets, what happened in their game on Saturday, Warriors, Houston. Obviously, Warriors able to get a win even without Jimmy Butler. Weekend recap, got a couple things that I want to hit on, and then we will call it a day. What I have on the weekend recap. Some NBA games coming up today. Dame Lillard injury, just awful, awful injury for Dame. Probably most likely an Achilles injury, which means this man will not play all of next season, most likely. So spend a little bit of time on that. And then one NFL thing I want to get into. Looks like the Washington Commanders getting a stadium. It kind of hurts now every time another team gets in the stadium, like Chargers couldn't figure it out. All right, so that's what we got going on for the show. Let me read a couple comments here, and then we'll get the show rolling. So thank you for being a part of the show. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what everybody's talking about here. Yep, first one. JJ ran them into the ground in the second half. Let's see what we got here. One game at a time. If we win on Wednesday, we still have life. Not giving up just yet, although there's probably only a 5 to 10% chance we come back. All right, let's see what else we got here. Good morning, Slee. I'm not in a good mood. Frustrating. Should be up 3-1. You know what? I don't think they should be up 3-1. I think it should be tied 2-2. Yesterday was the game. Yesterday was truly, truly the game. Never understood why Slee won in Minnesota in the first place over Denver and Golden State. We showed we could beat those two teams all year. Minnesota was always a challenge for the Lakers. Well, a couple of reasons why. And then we're going to get into Lakers losing both those games. I want to see something different. So I don't know if you guys remember me saying this. I just want to see something different. I felt like I just kept going to the same restaurants, the same menu. Can I see something different? Warriors would not have been an easy 8. Obviously, clearly, if you go see what the Golden State Warriors are doing, that wouldn't have been an easy out by any stretch of the imagination. And it also doesn't matter who you want and who you're trying to line up with. Whoever you get, you get. Denver had beat the Lakers 2 years in a row, but I don't really think actually you can apply what's happened in the past with Denver just because this Lakers team's a different team. And the Minnesota part of it always knew as a challenge. Why is everybody picking the Lakers then in 5 or 6 games? We didn't have any history against Minnesota. 2 stars against 1 star. I mean, what Minnesota's doing, they deserve a ton of credit. There were not a lot of people that were predicting the Minnesota Timberwolves would be up 3-1. So I didn't see that coming. If you saw it coming, then God bless you. You are Nostradamus out there. Okay, one other comment here before we get started. Crazy to say it, but this is the most down I've been as a fan. All right, relax. Everything's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. And even if it's not going to be okay, tell yourself it's going to be okay. Sliwa, thank you for the super here, brother. M Sharp, we know who the better team is. Now it's about to do the bench players have heart. If the bench shows up this series, it is not over. Well, I don't have confidence in that. I'll tell you that, just being completely honest with you. I don't know. They've given me no reason to think that something's going to change. All right, let's get into the topics. Thank you for the comments, and thank you for the supers as well. Lakers down 3-1. All right, they lose both games over the weekend. One thing, since the last time I did the Sliwa show, which was on Friday morning, only one scenario cannot play out for the Lakers. You lose both games. What did the Lakers do? They lost both games. We know what happened on Friday. Luka wasn't healthy. That was the storyline coming into the game. He was dealing with some stomach flu, stomach virus. Second half started. He couldn't make it out in time. We know exactly what the storylines were for game 3. No answer for Ant down the stretch. Jaden McDaniels had 30, 31 points, whatever he ended up scoring, a playoff career high for him. 19 turnovers for the Lakers. Game tied at 103, and Minnesota ends the game on a 13-1 run. Lakers lose 116-104. Okay. Put that in the rearview mirror. You got to move on from it. That happened on Friday. And frankly, the reason why I'm bringing up Friday's game is because there were 2 games over the weekend. So it feels like Friday's game was ancient because all you have in your mind and all you have in your head is what happened yesterday. But don't forget on Friday night, they're tied at 103 with a couple minutes left in the game. They end up losing by 12. So they had put themselves in a position. You know what's crazy? Of all the Minnesota Timberwolves, either podcasts that I've been listening to or trying to educate myself about the Timberwolves kind of going into the series, the one thing that stood out more than anything else that every Minnesota Timberwolves person who covers the T-Wolves was telling me, Al, they're not good in crunch time. All right, well, kind of give me a little bit more details there. When the game is close late in the fourth quarter, Minnesota can't close out games. So they need a little bit of a cushion or a lead, or they struggle late in games. Look pretty damn good against the Lakers. Look pretty good on Friday night. Look pretty good on Saturday afternoon. What do you mean they're not good in clutch time? From what I've been watching, they seem pretty clutch to me. Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, all of them seem like they're clutch players. Is this just a Laker thing? Either, in a sense, it's kind of funny because either one of 2 things happen. Either this happens all the time and we just are not paying attention to what other teams do, or this just happens to the Lakers, where every player who struggles from the 3-point line all of a sudden becomes Ray Allen or Reggie Miller. Yeah, clutch time. If clutch time was an issue to the Minnesota Timberwolves, well, nobody freaking told the Minnesota Timberwolves, at least while they're playing the Lakers, they got plenty of clutch moments from a lot of different players. You name it. Dante DiVincenzo has had moments in the clutch. Julius Randle's had clutch moments. Anthony Edwards, I'll spend some time on that guy in a little bit. That guy's unbelievable. Jaden McDaniels have a phenomenal series. Haven't seen anything clutch time being an issue. All right, let's now fast forward to yesterday's game. Yesterday's game, afternoon game, I genuinely thought they're not going down 3-1 because we know what 3-1 means. And we've seen the Lakers play desperation basketball, and we've seen the Lakers put themselves in a position where their back is against the wall, and you feel like you get the best version of the Lakers when they're desperate. I can't explain, the Lakers in every game. I can't explain why in game one they decided they were going to come out and just play a regular season game and get their asses handed to them and start the series from behind the entire way. Now you're always trying to play catch up in the series. I can't explain that one to you. I can't. But I know this team, I think, good enough to where I do understand and realize that when it's a key, important game that they have to have. I saw enough of it in the regular season. When I see the Lakers desperate, they respond. They responded yesterday. I mean, hell, they started that second half on a 13-14-0 run. They took a 3-point deficit into a 10-point lead. At one stage, I want to say they went up by 12 in that third quarter. To start the fourth quarter, they were up double digits. And then everything just kind of starts falling apart. Everything kind of starts going the other way. And even when you thought, I mean, I watched the highlights again last night. I ended up, a little bit later in the night. I was like, all right, I got to see this again, which is not uncommon. I'll still kind of consume a lot of the content, but I'm watching the game again, and I'm looking, and it was 2 straight threes that the Lakers hit. I want to say after Dante DiVincenzo got the and one. I could be a little bit off on this, but I think I'm right. After Dante DiVincenzo gets the and one, Reeves hits a 3. LeBron gets a block on Dante DiVincenzo. Lakers come down the other end. Reeves gets it in the corner, starts driving, kicks it to Dorian Finney-Smith, top of the key. Lakers go up by 2. I'm like, they're going to win this game. Maybe 112, 110, something like that. I'm like, they're going to win this game. This is the type of game that the Lakers win. They're going to win this game. We all know what happened at the end. Obviously, Lakers turnover, couple missed opportunities from a possession perspective. Anthony Edwards gets to the free throw line. The idiotic foul by Austin Reeves, which I don't think is being talked enough about on Jaden McDaniels. Up 2 and you foul Jaden McDaniels, who's already got a layup. I of all the things that are being talked about, I think that's being talked about least. Just an awful play by Austin Reeves. And Anthony Edwards, because there's 67 different replays. It's like the final replay that showed LeBron hit Anthony Edwards on the wrist was like from a Ring camera. You ever see sometimes somebody will upload something on YouTube and it's like, hey, look, an animal walked by the front door. It's like, yeah, the footage is grainy, all that stuff. I don't know where they got that angle from, but that angle showed that Bron hits Anthony Edwards on the wrist. Lakers get a final shot off. Reeves got a pretty good look in the corner. Lakers end up losing the game. They lose both games in Minnesota and are now down 3-1. And I think this, perception that I had of the Lakers coming in, felt good about the Lakers coming into the playoffs. I thought they were playing the right basketball at the right time. Thought they were healthy. I liked their chances. I mean, at least getting out of the first round. Here they are now, backs completely against the wall. And last night's game could have meant, or yesterday's game could have meant a couple things. Yesterday's game could also have just been like, hey, this is a wrap. This thing's over. Because if you threw your best punch and you still did not get a chance to win that game, I don't know what the Lakers' psyche is coming into Game 5 tomorrow. I know Minnesota doesn't care, doesn't give a rat's ass what the Lakers are doing. They're doing their own thing. Okay, biggest storyline coming out of the game yesterday. I think this one's obvious what the biggest storyline coming out of the game. I'll get to some of your comments. Don't worry. We'll get to all that in just a little bit. J.J. Redick's decision in the fourth quarter. Okay. You know, when it was happening and they were mentioning it on the broadcast, there was a little bit of like, all right, well, clearly he does not have much confidence in some of the other players that are sitting on the bench. However, it's maybe a quick breather. You know, I know I was mentioning this right after the post-game show. I was saying there's no way you can kind of throw Gabe in there for a quick second and kind of time this to where you got a timeout coming in another minute. So why don't I give Braun just a quick breather? We'll throw Gabe in there. We'll throw Vandal in, one of those two players. And even though I'm not going to play them much, I can kind of stretch this out. He rests for a minute. Then we have a timeout. He gets another couple of minutes. Maybe I was able to get 3-4 minutes of rest for one of these players. Yesterday, something happened in NBA history that's never happened before. I'm going to read this a tweet, even though I know this was out everywhere. Legion Hoops put this out. NBA playoff history in today's Game 4. The first time a team has ever played the same 5 players for a whole half. No substitutions at all from J.J. Redick. When you're a rookie head coach, I don't know if you want to be the first coach to do something that's never happened in NBA playoff history. Or let's put it this way. If you're going to do something that's never happened before in NBA playoff history, there's been some great coaches in the league. There's probably a reason why a lot of those great coaches and bad coaches have not ever played the same 5 for a whole half. There's probably a reason for it. But let's just say this. If you're going to do something like that, you better win the game. Because if you win the game, then maybe people are saying, oh my God, look how ballsy J.J. Redick is. I can't believe he did that. Look at his guys, fought for him the entire time. They didn't even start Jackson Hayes. They went Dorian Finney-Smith, and they 24 minutes, go all the way down the road, go all the way down the line. All these players played all 24 minutes. If you win the game, then maybe J.J. Redick, you're saying, look at he took such a chance. You know, he knew that the Lakers don't play again until Wednesday. He understood how important this game is. Wow, he rolled the dice, and you know what? He benefited from it. But if you lose the game, that's the storyline. And now the storyline coming into Monday as we sit here and getting ready for Wednesday for Game 5, now the storyline becomes, did J.J. Redick make a rookie coach mistake? Did J.J. Redick make one of the worst mistakes that you can possibly make when you have a player who's 40 years old? Did J.J. Redick wildly hurt the Lakers in the fourth quarter by not giving any of his starters a minute or two rest, specifically Luka and LeBron? How much did he hurt them? Because when you lose the game, that's what it turns to. Then it turns to, I'm going to read some quotes here. None of these, by the way, are going to help J.J. Redick and are going to help his case. But I'm going to go back to what I just said. If you win the game, then maybe you get a lot of praise for it. Maybe you say, wow, look at the risk that he taken. His players came through for him. If you lose the game, then you get crushed. And I think this morning, there's going to be a lot of people that are sitting back, and they're going to be asking the question of, why would J.J. Redick play the same 5 guys for the entire second half? In NBA playoff history, that's never happened before. Do you want to be a rookie head coach that tries something for the first time that's never happened? And, you know, I think for me, part of the frustrating part of it is I think J.J. Redick's done a good job all year long. I want J.J. Redick to be the coach of the Lakers for years to come. And, you know, yesterday in the post-game show, I was reading some of the comments and people were like, I'd rather have Darvin Ham than go get Darvin Ham. You know, go follow the Milwaukee Bucks or go follow Darvin Ham and go see where he ends up. And maybe he gets another coaching opportunity. And I hope that's your favorite coach out there. I'll take my chances with J.J. Redick. Let me read a couple quotes here. Anthony Edwards after the game. I felt like they were gassed going down the stretch. So just trying to keep my foot on the pedal and keep going. So Anthony Edwards says yesterday that in the fourth quarter, which, by the way, they were down 10 in the fourth quarter. They outscored the Lakers by 13 in the fourth, 32-19. Anthony Edwards says post-game, I felt like they were gassed down the stretch. It's probably not wrong, but here's the opposing team's best player giving his analysis. Yeah, fourth quarter, what happened? How come you guys were able to come back down 13 or down 10? What did you guys do in the fourth quarter? I think they were just tired. All right, that's probably not the obviously that's not the best look. Let me read a couple other things here. I'm going to give you guys some stats here in the fourth quarter. Okay, I mentioned never been done before in playoff history. The Lakers lost the fourth quarter 32-19. All right, Lakers led 104-97 with 5 minutes to play, but got outscored by the Wolves 19-9 to end the game. Just like in the game before, I mentioned they got outscored 13-1 to end the game. In the fourth quarter, Lakers shot 27%, 28, let's round it up, 28% from the field. They shot 5 of 18 from the field. That's what they did in the fourth quarter. LeBron went scoreless in the fourth, attempting only one shot. Luka went 1 for 6. Reeves went 2 for 7. So I'm just kind of giving you guys some of the stats here of what it looked like in that fourth quarter. Not the best of looks. I'm going to read one more thing off here. This was a tweet from Magic. Again, this is all paid specific attention towards the decision of playing all your guys in the fourth quarter. And I'm going to continue to say this. If you win the game, people are going to say that you're, wow, never been done before. What a genius strategy. What a genius move. If you lose the game, then this is what happens. This comes with the territory. Here's what Magic put out in a tweet. I don't know if it's smart to play LeBron and Luka the entire second half after only having 1 day of rest between games 3 and 4. They played on a Friday night. They played on a Saturday afternoon. When we needed LeBron to take over in the fourth quarter, he couldn't. He scored 0 in the fourth. Kendrick Perkins put out there, rookie mistake by JJ. Bron and Luka were dead tired. You have to find time to get them some rest, especially a 40-year-old LeBron James who's in his 100th season. Okay, so I know I'm probably one of the earlier shows that gets off here in the morning, unless you're out on the East Coast or whatever the case is. I'm sure this is going to be a big talking point all day long, and people are going to be having that conversation of why did JJ play these guys for 48 minutes? If I'm making the justification for JJ, this is what I would say. I would say the justification for JJ Redick is, well, who do you want me to go to? Jackson Hayes hasn't done shit all series. Gabe Vincent, I can't trust, even though this is a player that the Lakers brought in specifically for these moments. He hasn't done anything for me. Vando is an incredible liability on the offensive end, and we're going to need some points. And I don't want to play Jordan Goodwin, who's a two-way player that I just don't think it's a good idea putting him in this situation. If I'm making a case for JJ Redick is saying, go look at the end of my bench. I don't really have that many options. But where I would pause is, all right, JJ, there's been a lot of teams out there, plenty of teams in playoff history that have been in this situation or predicament before. This has never happened before where you had 5 guys play all 24 minutes in the second half. You got to just get them a little bit of a breather. I think from yesterday when it was all happening to where we're sitting today, I think even if he just got a couple minutes here and there for LeBron and Luka, then this wouldn't be as much of a conversation. But it's the fact that he changed the starting lineup to start the second half, which I'm fine with. It's not like, obviously they feel like DFS is better in that position and Jackson Hayes isn't helping. So I don't really care from that perspective. They did outscore Minnesota by 13 in the third quarter, so clearly they threw them off a little bit. But I don't think they made any adjustments after that and then just hoped that they could hold on to that lead. As we sit here, as the dust settles, the only thing that I would say from a JJ perspective that I think would have been would have kind of eliminated this conversation, and they could have still lost the game, Could you have found a minute or two for Bron? Could you have found a couple of minutes for Luka? And I think if you would have done that, then everybody else would have just, they wouldn't have said anything. But it's the fact that it's the first time it's happened in NBA playoff history. It's the fact that the Lakers were outscored by 13 in the fourth quarter. It's the fact that Anthony Edwards was like, yeah, they were gassed there at the end. That's why we won this game, or that's why we took over late in the fourth quarter. I think it's a combination of all those things that leads to some of the criticism for JJ. I'll go back to what I said a little bit earlier. I'm a fan of JJ Redick. I think he's had a tremendous first year as the Lakers head coach. I think yesterday, desperate times calls for desperate measures. He was desperate yesterday trying to get a win. But I think he made, obviously some mistakes there of not just giving some of his guys a quick little breather to make sure they were ready to go for the final couple of minutes. Nobody shot well in that fourth quarter. Lakers as a team didn't shoot well in that fourth quarter. And with all being said, they still had a chance to win and end up losing the game. The last thing that I want to throw out here on the JJ topic, and then I'm going to read some of your comments because I'm sure you guys are heated and ready to go and either tell me I'm an idiot or tell me that I'm right. Doesn't matter either way. As long as your opinion is honest and genuine, I'm okay with it. My only question going into Game 5, one of two things here can happen. And we got a couple of days before, obviously, we get to Game 5. But what was the message that you sent to the rest of your roster yesterday? Because Gabe Vincent and Vando and Jackson Hayes, and go down the list. It doesn't really matter which player that I'm talking about. If you didn't get in the second half, were those guys looking at each other in the second half like, so are we not even, you got that little confidence, you're not even going to check us in for a couple of minutes? And then when they, the game ended and they get on the team bus and then they eventually get on a plane and start working their way back to Los Angeles, do you think these guys are having some conversations with each other like, damn, does this dude have that little confidence in all of us? The message that I think JJ Redick sent in Game 4 by not using anybody on that roster outside of that starting five that he started in the second half was, I got zero faith in you. How much of an effect does that have in Game 5? How much does that effect have in the rest of the series? Does that spark something in them? And then all of a sudden these guys are like, well, you just wait till I get time. Or does it discourage them? And I don't have an answer for you, but it's such a odd thing that we don't see very often that, when we do get to Game 5, what's that going to look like? JJ Redick took a chance, took a risk, and it didn't work out. All right, let's take a look at some of your comments. We'll get everybody's thoughts here on this, obviously on this topic. Not only did JJ allow his starters to play the whole second half, he didn't use the timeouts to get the rest. I'm going to point out one other thing that, something to keep in mind in all of this. The other thing to keep in mind is the challenge. I don't think they used their challenge properly. I actually think one of the biggest moments in the game yesterday was Chris Finch having a challenge at the end of the game and Lakers not having a challenge at the end of the game. Lakers used it early on, first half, in a play that definitely was not a decisive, hey, that 100% is going to go our way. Chris Finch held on to his challenge, used it at the end, and got Anthony Edwards 2 free throws at the end. All right, let's see what we got here. Vando needs more minutes. Hayes needs to put his big boy pants on, and AR needs to step up. Slee is right about everything except Bron and JJ. Okay. Slee just says turnovers, but never says the dumbass play. Good analysis. Thank you for so much adding to that conversation there. Let's see what we got here. Luka had so many bad passes that led to turnovers and got his ass trapped in the corner multiple times, and everyone else was standing around watching him. No one came to help Luka. Guys, I think we can all say there are specific moments in the game where the team made mistakes or players made mistakes. I mean, I could list you name me a player I could find mistakes in the second half. Name me a player. You want to go LeBron? I could tell you 3-4 possessions in that fourth quarter where LeBron made a mistake. You want me to go Austin Reeves? I got a couple possessions where I could tell you he made a mistake. You want to go Luka? Clearly, I can find mistakes. We can find mistakes for each one of the players. But I think the conversation that we're having about substituting guys has more to do with, are they better and well equipped? Are they more fresh towards the end of the game if, hypothetically, they had a couple of minutes of rest? And frankly, we're not going to know that answer, but we're just kind of assuming that that's what would happen. Everyone but LeBron and Luka are expendable in the offseason. Let's see what we got here. Memo. Randall can only go left. Why don't we play him to go left? Is crazy. You guys remember? Think of some lefties. Lamar Odom would always set it up and go left. Jalen Brunson right now with the Knicks always sets it up and ends up going left. And every time you're like, guys, this is the only way he goes. Yeah, I mean, look, the players are obviously creative in getting the type of shot that they want, but I'm with you as well. Redick's fault for not giving Vando more reps on offense during the regular season. JJ could have rested Luka and LeBron at least 1 minute in the end or start of the fourth. I think that's the main point at the end. I don't know if you want to be a head coach that just did something that's never happened in playoff history. I don't think you want to be that first head coach to do that. Because if you end up losing the game, that's all people are going to remember. And Lakers lost the game, and that's where a lot of that attention went. I think that part is safe to say. All right, let's get Reeves, Luka, and fourth quarter LeBron are all defensive liabilities, Allen. Need to improve that. Yeah. Clearly, they're not taking out some of those guys. I think that's part of the reason why you say, hey, let me throw a Vando in here or a Gabe Vincent in here, because those guys are going to be a little bit more focused on the defensive side. All right, let's keep things moving here. Series over. Kind of simplify this for everybody. What do you guys think? Series over? Down 3-1. Obviously, the chances of coming back down 3-1, not the greatest chances. The one thing I will say is they got two of the next, obviously 3 games in LA. What do you guys think? Is this a wrap? Is this, hey, if you just win game 5, all of a sudden now there's pressure on Minnesota to try to close it out in game 6? And in both of the games Lakers played in Minnesota, they were close games up until, late to go in the fourth quarter, until Minnesota obviously took over from there. What is everyone's belief in this series? It's a wrap, or there's still a shot here. Basically over next season. Season over. Is the sky blue? It's a wrap. All right, here we finally got one that Robert says, no, it's not over. One more game we'll see after the next. It's over. Lakers win on Wednesday. Big game 6 in Minnesota. That would probably be, I think that's on a Friday night too. T-Wolves in 5. All right, now we got people going the other way. Let's see what else we got here. One game at a time. Definitely over. It's over. They put everything in game 4. I'm going to stop at this comment, because here's where I am wildly discouraged as we sit here. I'll tell you why. I don't think yesterday was just one game. I think there was a bigger meaning to yesterday. Part of the reason why JJ Redick thought, I'm just going to play the 5 guys that I feel like I have most confidence in, and I'm going to take my chances with it. I think everybody knew how important yesterday's game was. I think the Lakers knew, we can't lose game 4. We can't go down 3-1. If you go down 3-1, the chances of coming back in the series, obviously, you don't feel very good about it. I think why I am wildly discouraged as we sit here, part of it has to do with the Lakers. The other part of it has to do with, Minnesota's been phenomenal. You know, I think sometimes you could make the case, oh, well, the Lakers are just beating themselves up. Or, you know what, Minnesota didn't win that game. Lakers lost that game. I'm just making up stuff that we say sometimes after games. The problem with the question of, is this series over? The problem is, through the first 4 games, clearly Minnesota has been the better team. More balanced attack, more options, more depth. I can make an argument. I'm talking about Anthony Edwards here in just a little bit. I can make an argument that's been the best player in the series. I can make an argument. If you said rank the best players in the series, I can easily make the argument the best player in the series is Anthony Edwards, and then Luka or LeBron or however you want to stack everything else up. The problem I have with do the Lakers come back is I agree with this comment here. They put everything in game 4. The biggest thing to me that I thought was most discouraging yesterday, Lakers threw everything. I mean, did LeBron have a good game? Of course he did. Go look at his stats. Go look at what he was doing defensively. Luka almost dropped 40. Rui gave you the best game he's going to give you all series. Austin Reeves wasn't too far behind from that perspective as well. Lakers threw everything they can possibly throw. I was given this example yesterday, and I think this is a good analogy. Imagine being in a 12-round fight with somebody, and through the first, and I'm just using yesterday's game as a 12-round fight, and through the first 9 rounds, you say to yourself, "We got him. We're going to tie. We are winning this fight. This battle that we're in right now, we're going to win." And the only way you could lose that boxing match is if you lose round 10, 11, and 12. That's the only way you can lose. You have to lose the next 3 rounds in order for you to lose the boxing match. Lakers lost round 10, 11, and 12. And earlier in the fight, they thought to themselves, I think this guy, we knocked him down. Then we knocked him down again. And we're looking at the fighter that we just knocked down. And Lakers are like, is this guy getting up again? The problem with coming back from 3-1 for the Lakers is it's not just what the Lakers can do. Minnesota's been excellent. Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, Dante DiVincenzo had some moments these last couple of games. Mike Conley had a few moments. And Anthony Edwards has been a superstar. A superstar. So, you know, as we ask the question about what do the Lakers do from here and can they come back in the series and everything else, I do agree with everybody. You just got to go win game 5. And then now there's a little bit of pressure on Minnesota again. But game 5 is not a guarantee because I don't think Minnesota is just going to lay over in game 5 and say, oh, we'll just go try to win it in Minnesota. There has not been a game yet that the Minnesota Timberwolves have given an inch. Maybe they were bad in in game 2 in the first quarter, but like I'm reaching here trying to look where I felt like Minnesota was, you know, they played nonchalant. Lakers started the series with this, yeah, you know, we're not really ready to play. We need a game to get ready. Minnesota hasn't played like that. Every game, every quarter, it seems like the Minnesota Timberwolves are like, all right, we're ready to go. For the Lakers, it's kind of this pick and choose. Sort of ready, we're not ready. I mean, did you guys hear the quotes after game 1? I almost hallucinated after game 1. We're like, well, maybe now we know what playoff intensity is. What? What are you talking about? You had a week to prepare for the Minnesota Timberwolves. You had a home game against Minnesota. And now you're asking the question of if you're prepared. Now you're prepared down 0-1 against Minnesota. Minnesota hasn't given an inch. So part of the question about coming back in the series also has to rely on who's your opponent. Minnesota's been phenomenal. They've been phenomenal. So I don't think a lot of this just has to do with what the Lakers are going to do. I think some of this also has to do with the opponent that you're going up against. They're not giving you air to breathe. And if you feel like for a quick second, like yesterday, oh, we could relax for a quick second. What happens after that? They start going on a run. All right, let me mention this real quick from Let me mention this real quick on Anthony Edwards. Okay. Listen, I know Anthony Edwards is a good player. I'm well aware of Anthony Edwards being a good player. I didn't know he was that good. I just didn't. And let me tell you what I mean by I didn't know he was that good. Sometimes players can put up numbers, but that doesn't mean this is one of the best in the league. What Anthony Edwards is doing towards the end of these games, that's a real superstar. And I don't like giving out the word superstar. Superstar, I remember sometimes when I used to do the pregame show with Michael, you throw out terms and Michael would be like, hold up there, buddy. There's only a few of these, if you say, hey, that guy's an all-star, okay, then you're talking about maybe the top 25 players in the league, right? If you say, hey, that guy is a great player, it's like, okay, be specific with great. You're talking about top 10, something along those lines. If you use the term superstar, okay, well, this guy better not be, he's a high volume shooter and just puts up points, but it doesn't really equal anything. Anthony Edwards, that's superstar. End of the game. Your team down 6 or 7, back-to-back threes. Your team needs a big puck. I'm thinking about the game in Game 3, Lakers at Minnesota. Minnesota needs game is tied. Minnesota needs a big bucket. Anthony Edwards, step back 3 over Luka. Next possession, drive the ball to basket. 3 guys collapse, kicks it to Naz Reid. Reid hits a 3. Anthony Edwards involved in all of that. Yesterday, I mean, he had moments in the game where that's what superstars do. Superstars. There's only a few superstars in the league. I don't know how many there are. I don't know how high you want to go, how far you want to go. I don't know what the cutoff of a superstar is. That's the definition of a superstar. And the dude's only 23 years old. He wants the moment. He wants the big shots. He wants the ball in his hands. He's talking shit while he's doing it. And I don't even think he's talking shit disrespectfully. I think he's just kind of doing it as part of the game, kind of his own fuel, whatever you want to call it. That dude that's real deal. And walking into this series, and I think I mentioned this to you guys. There was a podcast for the Minnesota Timberwolves that mentioned the top 3 players in this series. And the way they ranked them, they said Luka's 1, LeBron is 2, and Anthony Edwards is 3. And they basically said Ant has the ability to kind of, take his game to another level, but we'll see what happens in the series. Oh, Ant's, you're not having if you're trying to make an argument that Luka's been the best player in this series, well, then you also got to go to Game 3 where he wasn't 100% healthy. There, you got to take everything into account. Ant has been superstar. And that's a big reason to do why they're up 3-1. And obviously there's balance, and it's not just Anthony Edwards, but my God, he's been, he's been pretty damn good. T-Wolves get layups every possession. Well, that's not good. Ant has great games, then fades into non-existence, just like last year after beating Denver. Yeah, I mean, listen, maybe the Lakers defense is also maybe the Lakers defense is helping Ant look like, a bigger superstar. But, big moments, to me, what part of the definition of a superstar, it's not what you do, but it's also when you do it. You might put up points when you're in the first quarter or in the first half and maybe shy away from the ball with 3 minutes or 2 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Ant's not shying away from anything. Remember, Slee, when you said let Ant eat and stop double teaming him. By the way, when Ant's at his absolute most effective, if the guy is going out there and dropping his 40 plus and still grabbing 6 or 8 assists, then I don't think you're going to be winning that game. I don't think you're going to be winning that game. So listen, if you got to pick a poison, I want arguably your best defender trying to guard trying to guard Anthony Edwards, but at the same time, obviously taking your chance of saying, well, I can't let all these other guys eat. The problem with the Lakers here, Ant's eating, McDaniels is eating, Naz Reid is enjoying a buffet. Go down the list. Everybody's coming back in for seconds. I mean, they gave up 116 points in these last two games. Let's see what we got here. Game 3 was winnable if Luka didn't get stomach virus. Game 4, second half, JJ brain farted with no rest. But it doesn't matter, Dub T. I mean, as long as they get a win, they get a win. All right, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, they're eating. Everybody's eating. Everybody. I mean, Ant just, superstar status. I mean, obviously, listen, we all know how good Anthony Edwards is, but for me, it's what are you doing in clutch time? How much are you getting your other players involved? Are they coming through for you? What's your leadership look like? I mean, and listen, he had a great playoff run last year, an incredible playoff run last year. He's learned from that as well. And I'm not even telling you, if they got past the Lakers and they got Warriors in the second round, it doesn't guarantee that they get past the Warriors. It doesn't guarantee them anything. So, I mean, technically, they could get past the Lakers and then still kind of find themselves in the, how do I put this? Not getting into the Western Conference Final. You could almost say they took a step back if they don't get back to the Western Conference Finals. But at least against the Lakers are making this man look incredible. All right, quick shout out here. Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Been talking about Brad Wallace here. He's been a partner here on the channel for the last couple of months. I mean, I didn't want to get Brad's opinion of what he thinks about these games. Can't even read the texts in public. Really cool story that I want to share with everybody. When I was over at the Wallace firm, I was over at their offices and I did one of my shows from there. And Brad came on the show and he was talking about a case that he was working on against Home Depot. He's handling for a client. And he was in a kind of a big situation against Home Depot. Home Depot didn't settle with Brad. And he did exactly what he was telling me on the podcast that he was going to be doing. He was going to do, and he took them to trial. A few weeks back, following a 2-week trial, which included Brad's closing arguments at the Van Nuys Courthouse in L.A. County, the jury delivered a $4.6 million verdict on behalf of the Wallace firm's client and found Home Depot responsible for nearly $3 million of that amount, which was significantly more than Home Depot's highest pretrial offer on the case. The reason why I want to share this story with you guys, I just want you guys to know, if you ever need an injury attorney, I hope you guys don't, but I know things happen in life. You got somebody that is a very, very loyal partner of the channel, and I would love to make a personal introduction to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm if you ever need an injury attorney. Maybe it's for you. Maybe it's for a family member. Maybe something happened that you clearly did not think was going to be a part of your life, but he can help anybody in the state of California. We got the URL wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. So like I said, if you're ever in a predicament or a situation, or maybe you just got questions, free consultation. If you go to the website as well, you fill in some information, you get a free consultation. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, and thank you for being a partner here on the channel. Okay, let's keep going here. Let me see here. I know I got a couple supers here I want to get to. All right, let's see this one. We know who the better team is. Now it's about the bench players have heart. If the bench shows up this series, it's not over. I think I read this a little bit earlier. I don't know what the psyche is going to be for some of these bench players for the Lakers. I don't. I don't know if Gabe Vincent, maybe he just kind of approaches Game 5 as a professional and says, you know what, it is what it is. Maybe I didn't get playing time in the second half. Vando, the same thing. They're going to need to do that because at least for Gabe Vincent and Vando, they're on the contract, they're on the books for next season. I know Gabe is. Vando's got a longer contract. So hopefully they can be professional about it and just kind of move on. Thank you for the super brother. Here's another one. Al, the best player is on the Wolves. Lakers get one more. Lakers got much offseason work to do. Yeah, I mean, listen, if we are sitting here, damn, this is kind of eerie of last year as well. By May 1st, the season was over. By May 1st, the season could be over again this year. Lakers obviously lost to Denver last year in 5. I mean, I think the offseason is going to be fun. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the Lakers kind of adjust and what Pelinka does and how JJ Redick works with Pelinka and trying to find the right team and the right roster, what guys remain, what trades happen, all that stuff. See if they can get one more game here and just at least take it back to Minnesota and see what happens. But the best player has been on the Wolves. I don't have any argument on that. Ant not afraid of James 1-2-3 Cancun. 3-2-1 or 1-2-3. Yeah, he was. It's funny. He was telling a story after the game when those two, I don't know, one of them get a technical foul, or I don't know if they got. I don't even think they got technical foul, but they were pushing each other, and Ant was like, "Yeah, I was trying to kind of send a message like, we're here, we're going to be here all game," and then he goes on to like, "But man, that guy's strong," and he's like, even though I was trying to bump him, he just backed me down like I was nothing. So it's pretty funny how he was describing all that. Minnesota reflects their leader's fearlessness. Lakers, LeBron James. Yeah, I mean, listen, LeBron disappears in the 4th of games. I didn't take away yesterday that the Lakers lost the game because of LeBron, but I think people in the post-game show was trying to tell me that they were. And obviously good, serious RTP. You probably feel that way as well. That's not how I looked at yesterday's game, but I don't know what you want me to tell you. I think some people are always going to just point the finger at LeBron no matter what happens. Did LeBron have some moments yesterday where he made mistakes in the 4th quarter? Sure. But what nobody follows up with that is areas of the 4th quarter when he was great, because I don't think people want to talk about that. I think they just want to talk about when they feel like LeBron makes a mistake here or a bad possession or a bad shot. And I'll be the first to tell you, the inbound play, I don't know if it was Austin Reeves or Luka that screwed up or if it was LeBron that screwed up, but obviously it wasn't a good inbound pass. The foul against Anthony Edwards, yeah, I thought he was trying to get away with one. It was a close play. How many strips did he have in that 4th quarter where he did get away with a steal? So, did some of the defensive plays that he had, I mean, we can't just pretend like he didn't do anything yesterday. All right, let's read a couple more of these. So, we rescinded the Mark Williams trade that was packaged for Dalton Connect just to not play DK Strange. I'm sure we could have and would have played. Oh, I mean, listen. I mean, if you see how little the Lakers have used Jackson Hayes this series, if you see the way Mark Williams kind of closed out the season for Charlotte, you see the way Dalton Connect hasn't been used literally at all or sparingly at the end of games when the game's already decided. If you kind of take all that combination together, it's very difficult to sit here right now and say, why didn't they make the Mark Williams trade? But that's why I'm going to give Rob Pelinka this offseason. A lot of people thought Lakers were giving up too much by giving up Dalton Connect and that first rounder for Mark Williams. Trade gets rescinded. Obviously the medical staff decided, nope, we don't feel comfortable about the future of this guy. So let's not do the trade. Well, now the question is going to be, offseason comes, did you come up with something better than Mark Williams? Because that's going to be the question. That's going to be the question everybody's going to ask is, did you come up with something better? Let me get a couple more supers in here. Thank you for the super, fellas. I really appreciate it. I know Reeves is a sensitive topic, but check the numbers. His production has dropped this postseason. A center is a must and physical two-way players. By the way, that's not, you don't have to say it's a sensitive topic. Reeves hasn't been as good as the Lakers need him to be in the playoffs, period. There's no sensitivity towards that. You give praise where it's deserved, and and you're critical when you need to be critical. I thought Austin Reeves was going to have a better playoff performance. Simply put, no sensitivity towards that. Reeves really, his best game that he had was game 3 because Luka was not feeling himself. I mean, Austin Reeves is supposed to be the third best player on this Lakers team every single night. And that's what they needed him to be this postseason run. And even yesterday, which he had a really strong second half, specifically the third quarter, I think ended up hitting 5 threes, was a complete no-show in the first half because of foul trouble. So, no. If you guys got a comment on a guy like Austin Reeves or want to be critical on him, be critical on him. And that's completely fair so far in this playoff run. Get another super in here. I don't want to hear about friendly contracts this postseason when we go after a center. Right now, Luka and Braun are the only unmovable pieces. Bonner D, thank you for, I appreciate you being a part of the show, and I appreciate the supers. We're not even in the offseason yet. We're already talking about unmovable pieces and everything else. All right, thank you to all the supers. I appreciate you guys. I got a couple other topics that I want to get into here real quick, and then we'll keep things moving here. Let's see what we got here. I'm blaming all on Reeves. Reeves built for a regular season. He's not built for playoff physicality. So do you believe if Lakers lose on Wednesday, Nico Harris did the right thing? No, I really, really don't. I really, really don't. And I think, it was always about the big picture with the Luka trade. I just think the Lakers performed so well in the regular season since the Luka trade and locked up the number 3 seed that we all got sold on, hey, they might be making a little bit of a run this year. But no, always that trade's going to come down to big picture. Okay, I got a couple other things that I want to get into here real quick. Can I ask everybody a quick question here? Yesterday, this is a pet peeve of mine. Actually, I'm probably start the weekend recap here real quick. Yesterday, the Knicks and the Pistons. It's a 1-point game, final couple of seconds. Knicks up 1. Tim Hardaway Jr. gets the ball in the corner, kind of a broken play, gets the ball in the corner, goes up for a potential winning shot. Josh Hart draws contact, and Tim Hardaway Jr. is smart trying to draw the contract. It was a very heads-up play. We see it all the time in the NBA. The referees don't blow the whistle. Does somebody want to tell me what good does this do? After the game, we see this. This isn't uncommon, but just I need somebody to help me understand this from an NBA perspective and everything else. After the game, here's what happened. Crew chief David Guthrie told pool reporters that officials should have called a foul on Hart. During live play, it was judged that Josh Hart made a legal defensive play. After a post-game review, we observed that Hart makes body contact that is more than marginal to Hardaway Jr., and a foul should have been called. Okay. Here's my question to everybody. Does that help anybody? Like, if you're a Pistons fan this morning, are you like, oh, awesome, the crew chief said it was a foul, and they should have called a foul, and they basically cost the Pistons game 4, a critical game. By the way, series tied 2-2 or it's 3-1. If Tim Hardaway Jr., who's taken a 3-point attempt with 0.3 seconds left, I think would have been left on the clock, down by 1, he's hitting 2 of those three free throws, and the Detroit Pistons are winning game 4 and are tied 2 apiece going back to the Garden. Who does this benefit? I don't understand. I know a lot of people would prefer that referees get interviewed or something along those lines. How come they're not held accountable? Everybody else is held accountable, and then there's a microphone in front of them. Okay, if you want to come up with something like that, sure, I guess maybe that's an idea. But tell me who this benefits when a referee blows a call that's right in front of them And it's a blatant foul. I mean, I thought it was a foul, and that's me watching in live time. And you see a couple of the replays, you're like, yeah, that's probably a foul. Who does it benefit for them to come out a couple hours later and say, yeah, we screwed it up? Everybody good? We screwed it up. Everybody feel better? I never understood the I don't know if you guys like when that happens, but that one just makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me that like this is a perfect. It was a classic NBA. It's like the definition of an NBA foul. It's a high IQ player saying this defender is coming at me too aggressive, too much momentum coming towards me. So I'm just going to get a little bit of contact and I go to the free throw line. That's ball game. I just don't understand who it benefits when they come out afterwards, because I don't think there's a Pistons fan sitting there today and saying, you know what, I was having trouble sleeping last night, but once I read what the crew chief said, I feel so much better. Who does it benefit? All right, here's another one. Well, that's why people say don't leave it in the hands of the refs. Don't lose the lead. That's true. Now, listen, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that I'm not trying to tell you that the Pistons didn't make mistakes. I'm not trying. I mean, yesterday, JJ Redick had said something that it was a foul. Luka got fouled on a play, on a possession late in the game. But then he also added that didn't determine the game. That wasn't the game. That could have determined the game. But yes, it doesn't come down to one play. But I don't personally understand what the point of all that is. Here's another one here. Tim Hardaway's shot was a foul. Had it been Luka, Luka gets 3 free throws. Yeah, I don't. Cat is awesome. Somebody else said, yeah, Cat was phenomenal yesterday. Telling everybody, yep, we screwed it up. Well, they can't get the game back. So what does it matter if you screwed it up? I mean, at this point, I don't think it matters at all. All right, let's do a little bit of the weekend recap. We do obviously the weekend recap on Mondays, and on Fridays we do a weekend preview. So a couple things that went on over the weekend. Again, thank you for hanging out on the show. Appreciate you guys being here. And if you guys can take a second and please subscribe to the channel. By the way, please consider being a member. $3 a month, you could be a member. I do live shows with members. And I would love to get as many members as possible. And just, it's a great way to support the channel. If you guys like what I'm doing and what I'm building, it's a fantastic way of supporting the channel. Okay, a couple things over the weekend. Nuggets and the Clippers. My God, I'm watching that game live. I'm watching the Denver Nuggets blow a 22-point lead to the Los Angeles Clippers. Ty Lue made one adjustment. He's like, hey, let's just go zone. And the Denver Nuggets looked at that zone as if there was a 15-foot wall built in front of them, and they have no way of making a bucket. They collapsed. That game was over, and frankly, that series was over. And there is Nikola Jokic taking a fadeaway three, what felt like at the buzzer. By the time he actually takes the shot, the ball in the air, and it wasn't even close to going in. I have never seen in my life that close. You think of Derek Fisher with the 0.4 and all these other. I've never seen a ball on the fingertips of a player that close and actually counting. Aaron Gordon gets the ball in midair, dunks it, and the Denver Nuggets found a way to walk away with a win in LA to tie the series up at 2 apiece and still give themselves a shot in the series. They go down 3-1. That series is a wrap. What an unbelievable play/moment. And you guys know that, Nuggets Nation. Nuggets Nation. I don't even know why I still root so hard against them. I don't even know if I could properly even explain it to you. I mean, here are the Lakers down 3-1, and I'm paying attention to the Clippers. But just a big-time possession from the Denver Nuggets and from Aaron Gordon, and they tie the series up 2 apiece. Just a phenomenal play. I don't think they play again. I'll get into the schedule in just a second. I don't think they play again until tomorrow. The other game on Saturday as well. I'm just looking at some of these Western Conference games, the ones that maybe have some ties. I think Laker fans probably are paying a little bit closer attention to. How about the Houston Rockets not able to beat the Golden State Warriors without Jimmy Butler? They lose 104-93. Frankly, the game wasn't even that close. Jimmy Butler was on the sidelines, but did not play in the game. Steph did what he does. I think he had another 36 points, 25 in the second half. He was phenomenal. The Houston Rockets can't beat the Warriors without Jimmy Butler. My God. Golden State goes up 2-1 in that series. So obviously we'll see what happens the rest of the way. I do want to point out just some scores in the NBA real quick here. So here's what we got coming up tonight. Cavs and the Heat. Cavs looking to sweep the Miami Heat, ending that series. The Eastern Conference just needs to get to the second round. The only real series actually that's been interesting was Detroit and New York up until yesterday. Rockets and the Warriors tonight as well. So you got 2 games going on tonight. And then tomorrow, I know I mentioned Denver and the Clippers. They got actually 4 games lined up for tomorrow. Bucks, Pacers, Pistons, Knicks, Magic, Celtics, and then the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets. The series goes back to Denver. Awful, awful news yesterday. I had actually one of my cousins text me. He's like, "Did you see Dame?" I didn't know what he was talking about. Damian Lillard, probably most likely. I'll read you the headline here on ESPN. What did it say? The preliminary examination indicated a possible Achilles tendon injury to Damian Lillard. So Dame obviously just coming off of being out for about a month or so. He was dealing with that blood clot, makes his way back, and then yesterday playing just kind of a funky play. You could see it. It's a non-contact injury, tips the ball to a teammate, and I don't even know if that's when it happened, and then just goes to the ground, grabs towards any player that you've seen end up with a torn Achilles. They grab towards that kind of the back of their heel. And the moment he did that, it was like, oh no. Didn't get up. I think Kuzma ran down on the other side and tried helping him up. And then he couldn't put any pressure on it. It's like, shit. Okay, with these Achilles injuries, we saw what happened to Kyrie, and that was back in, might have been February. Maybe it was in March. I'm not sure the exact date. But the concern with, obviously Kyrie is like, hey, this guy might miss most of all of next season. Well, if Dame's having this injury almost in May, and at his age, and I know Kyrie's kind of probably similar as far as age goes, man, what a devastating injury for Damian Lillard. There's a good chance you're not going to see Damian Lillard playing basketball next year. Obviously that's just an awful, awful injury. All right, let me look at a couple of the comments here. Then we're going to call it a day. No one went to help Dame up. Kuz finally did. Yeah, Kuz ran back on the other end. Listen, I don't know if it was they just thought, all right, he's just going to get up. But just awful. The worst. Let's see what you got here. Called your LA show, Julius Randle, last year, saying the Lakers should re-sign him. He's been really good this series. I know there's classes to it, and I'm not sitting here telling you, hey, Julius Randle's an all-star superstar. No, none of that. Man has done his job this series. And all of a sudden, he's a three-point shooter. Say, I wrote to the finals, we're greased. Oh, we're greased and we blew it. Yeah, I kind of like the path the Lakers had, but it doesn't really matter. Golden State, unbelievable. Without Jimmy Butler, Houston, do your job. Do your job. All right, a couple more supers here, then we're going to get out of here. Big Sneed. Look at Big Sneed. Big Sneed, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the 20 spot. Very, very kind of you to do so. So thank you very much for doing that. Great job as usual. Do you think Luka wants LA next year? Taxes, drama, etc. I just think the Lakers will do absolutely everything in their power to make sure that Luka's comfortable as a Laker. Anything he wants, he's going to get it. And I think his experience in Dallas, where they kind of started getting rid of trainers and things like that, they were starting to give signs of like, nope, we run shit around here. I don't think the Lakers will do that with Luka. So I don't think Luka's going to go anywhere. That's my hunch. That's what I think, and we'll see what happens. Big Sneed, thank you, brother. I appreciate the 20 spot very, very much. Lot of very generous supers this morning. So thank you very much for everybody that chipped in from that perspective. The weekend recap is presented by the Wallace firm. If you or someone you know is in a serious situation, reach out to Brad Wallace at the Wallace firm to see how they can help. For more information on how they can help you, go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa or click on the link in my description. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Thank you for their partnership as well. Okay. Let me give everyone a quick idea. Let's see. I was texting with some people. Let's see if we get text back or no. All right. We're still waiting on that. I might have somebody on tomorrow that represents the Timberwolves, kind of get their perspective on things. And we'll be back on tomorrow at 8 a.m. So thank you for being a part of the show today. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate, by the way, all the comments. Supers or not supers, they're very much appreciated. Agree with me, disagree with me, all good. I encourage it all. So I appreciate you guys hanging out, and we'll go from there. Thank you, guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I will catch you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody.